Well, hi and welcome back to my beautiful office. I have a dilemma today. I'm not sure what I want to make a video on. I've got two choices. Go on a 3-hour hike or do a bit of a review and my thoughts on the Osmo Action Camera. So what we're going to do is toss a coin. Heads, we go on a walk. Tails, we talk about the Osmo. Oh, I didn't expect that. So it looks like we're doing both together. Go for a walk and talk about the Osmo while I'm doing it. And I'll film the entire walk with the Osmo so you get to look at what it's like and what it sounds like. So yeah, let's get on with it. Well, I guess you realise by now that coin toss was rigged. I thought the other day, you can't decide on which one to do. Why not just do both? Do them together. Go on a 3-hour hike and talk about the Osmo. And there's a few other things to talk about as well. Like my new gloves that come in the mail yesterday. Woohoo! These are waterproof. I haven't had a waterproof glove before. That actually is waterproof and is rated to 20 below zero. Oh, awesome. I'm loving them already. All right, let's get on with this walk. About the gloves, I'd like to give a special mention, a bit of a shout out to the company that I bought them off. Whenever I go and buy any equipment, I do a lot of research to see if I can get a bargain on the best bit of gear that I could possibly afford. I've been looking for quite some time for these particular gloves. And details up there, what they're called, and yeah, they just haven't come up. So finally there was a little bit of a discount with two companies, and pitting them against each other, it came down to not paying for freightage. So when they arrived, they came with a special note saying thank you for buying from us, something like that. But oh, what a nice touch. I'll give them a special shout out because it came so quick. Sorry about the wind. I guess that's where I'm going. I haven't seen any other tracks go off to the side. Give it a go. What do we have here? Fork in the road and a sign. Yep, that's what we're after. So I am here. I started from here That's all uphill. So I have to continue around to the right here and then hook back on to near the waterfall. Actually, I'm very close now. Woohoo! So as you can see, the gloves are off. Take that, mountain. I took them off within about 500 metres of walking. I was cooking. They're beautiful, and I'd love to try them in really freezing cold conditions, but I didn't get it this morning. Anyway, going all right. All right, that's what I'm after. Down to the waterfall here. While it's not quite so windy in this spot, might as well continue talking to you about things. The backpack, we're testing that out again. The Osprey, details up here. It's not fully loaded, but I've chucked a hell of a lot of gear in there. I really wanted to test it out. The last time I came here, it was a 3-hour hike. I said 11 kilos, but it was actually, when I went home and reweighed it, the scales lied. It was actually just over 9 kilos. That's why it felt so light on my back. But that's still pretty good. Couldn't feel it really. And it's really good now. What have I got? I'm over 15 kilos. And it's still really good on my shoulders. Well, we're at the waterfall. And it's time just for a little rest before I go down and take some photographs of the falls. Been quite an easy walk. Pretty steep, constant steep, but it's alright. Now let's talk about the Osmo itself. You're listening to it at the minute with the onboard microphone with the breeze on it. Sometimes it can sound awesome. I really like the effect, but you know, in certain circumstances, like me talking to you now, it ain't the best. It's not very professional sounding, but for a little bit of professional use, it sounds really good. And here's what I mean by that. It can add drama to an image, a bit of atmosphere. Right, so I'm going to put my lavalier kit on, the Sennheiser lavalier kit, AVX, and you can hear what that's like with the Osmo. Well, we have the Sennheiser lavalier kit on now, and it's quite windy, and you'll hear a massive difference. A lot more professional sound. When I go to buy a camera or any type of gear, I research them thoroughly. I look at all the options, all the other cameras that are out there, study them in detail, and that's exactly what I did with the Osmo. Now there was 3 contenders: the Insta360, the GoPro, and the Osmo. Well, I very quickly threw the Insta360 in the bin. Didn't suit me at all. Quality's down on it as well as far as the images go. But with the GoPro and the Osmo, they're pretty much the same. There's slight differences here and there in image quality and stuff like that, but in the end it came down to what suits me and the imperfections in the camera, the things that might piss you off, things like that. And in the end it came down to choosing the Osmo from them rather than the GoPro. There you go. That's why I chose the Osmo for my blogging. Well, what's this camera like to blog with while you're hiking on long hikes? Well, it's frigging awesome. I love it. Lightweight, versatile, shove in logs, all sorts of things, under bark. Now I bought the stand for it, the blogging stand, so it extends quite a long way and it's easy to hold. You don't get noises come through onto the microphone or anything. And details up here of what it's called. It's the best one for the lavalier kit to go into, the audio adapter, because it's designed for it. It's designed to put that little adapter on. Just take the door off, shove it in. With all the other cases, they don't fit. So that's why I bought that one. I'll actually come down a bit further from where I was last time I was here, up the top part. I didn't realise I could sneak around the bush a little bit and get down here. So I'll look for another composition. If there's anything that's really interesting, I'll take a photograph. Otherwise, I'll keep going. This is beautiful to look at, though. Well, it's a very, very pretty spot. But as you can see, sun's starting to come through. It's going to make it difficult. Probably have to wait another hour or so for it to be in a better position. I'm not doing that. And actually, I can't really see a good composition. It's pretty bland. So I'm not going to bother. And now I've had to hack through the scrub a little bit. Very, very pretty. It's very cold. I should put my new big gloves on. Let's have a look at this amazing view. Oh, coronavirus, don't touch it. These people have just grabbed hold of that. Well, what about voice command with the Osmo? Is it any good? Yes, it is. Friggin' awesome. Well, 90% of the time. There's the odd occasion that it gets a bit stubborn and it doesn't listen to me, but most of the time, 90% of the time, it works really well like it just did then. Well, what about voice command to turn it off? Well, you got to be careful what you say around this thing because it'll do it most of the time, 90% of the time. Stop recording. Stop recording. Stop recording. Stop recording. Making a fool out of me, Osmo. Alright, so it starts really well. It's alright at stopping it, just at 10% of the time. It won't listen to me. Shall we try again? Stop recording. Okay, you are playing funny buggers with me today. Stop recording. So is this useful, having voice command? Well, yeah, it's really good when the Osmo's in a good mood. Blogging like this, I can, if I stuff something up, I can just go, stop recording, and it'll do it for me. I'll start again. You know, anywhere. You've got it on the ground and you don't want to continuously go back and try and turn it on and off if you're, oops, sorry, if you've stuffed it up. What you've just been saying to the camera, whatever. Very, very useful. Very handy. Well, I had a little bit of good news during the week. I entered a competition with 3 photographs of the Agile Antechinus. I'd forgotten about them, and it was last year in September. Completely gone out of my mind. Get an email, judge's choice. And it was one of my wildcard photographs, a little cutesy one. Thought, you know, I've entered competitions like this before, nothing's ever come of them. So I won't use the same images. Maybe I'll use 2 of my really favourite ones and then add a wildcard one. So there you go, judge's choice. There's a local shire. They were holding it to get people interested, locals interested in getting back into the forest and, you know, get out into nature. And it was judged by a photography association. Yeah, so they judged it, not the shire. It was awesome to have my face on the front cover of the Herald Sun the other week, and now I've actually had an image that's been acknowledged as being good enough to be displayed on the wall of a shire offices for all to see. I'm back in my car after that nice walk. I did it in under 3 hours. I don't know how. I didn't rush it or anything. Stopped a lot here and there. And I've taken out the time that I spent at the waterfall, which was only like half an hour anyway. Yeah, it was a really nice walk follow the creek for a little bit. Then it goes uphill for quite some kilometres. I'm not sure how many, but I'd guess it's probably about 4 kilometres. Then it winds back down to the waterfall. Let's just have a quick talk about accessories for the Osmo. I highly recommend the Sennheiser AVX lavalier kit. Friggin' awesome, great quality. Yeah, you can get cheaper ones, but I recommend this. It's really good. Variable ND filter, very necessary with the Osmo. Another accessory is the actual underwater case. That'd be awesome to have as well. The suction cup bracket. So you attach the Osmo to it, and I can put it on windows, on houses or cars, and also on the dash as well, so that I can talk to the camera inside the car, all those sort of things. I think it's time for me to hit the road, go home, and we'll talk about the Osmo's bits and pieces a bit further at home. Stop recording. So how do I set the camera up for general use with exposure and colour profile? I leave it in automatic all the time, except for the ISO. I limit it to 800, so it can go up and down with the lighting conditions if it needs it, but I don't want it to go any higher because of noise problems. I work in a forest environment normally, so it needs to be limited to stop noise. Colour profile, we have 3. We have standard mode, which gives you colour sharpening, contrast, but the highlights blow out far too easy, so I don't use it. We have D-semi-like, which is what the camera's stuck in all the time. It gives you a reasonable amount of compression with the highlights. I'd like it a bit more, but it's good enough. I have to add sharpening, colour contrast, but I do that anyway with all my cameras. If they have a high dynamic range mode, I will use it. And speaking of high dynamic range mode, it has one, but I don't like to use it. It looks weird. The highlights, it compresses them, but they look foggy. Here's an example, but the entire image, I don't like it. So it's stuck in D-semi-like. It's a good profile, like using it. So that's what my camera is stuck in with the settings as far as exposure and colour profile go. So is there anything about the Osmo that annoys me and pisses me off? Well, yes, and it's the same with every camera. They all have faults, some annoying, some really hard to deal with. With the Osmo, no headphone jack. That is really annoying. We need to hear what we've just said. Going on a hike like I've just done, if there's some mistake made, that's an hour and a bit to get back to reshoot it. I'm not doing that. It's okay when I'm in my office here. I just simply go home. It's only 3 minutes away. I can check and go, I can redo it. But you can't when you're out in the field a long drive. So no headphones jack, and it doesn't have one or any way of being able to use one on the audio adapter as well. You can set the camera up to the way you want it with exposure, everything, and it'll stay there every time you turn it on, except when I charge it up from the computer. It goes back into default mode for some reason. That can be fixed with a firmware update. I'm positive. Just needs more people to complain about it, I guess. The other one is when you do a firmware update, you lose all your settings again. Oh, it's a pain in the ass redoing everything. So yeah, that's one of the quirks that really annoy me. What's the app like to use with the mobile phone? Well, it works fantastic, but there are circumstances where you'll get lots of dropout. If you have direct line of sight, that's fantastic. So you've got it up high in a tree, something like that. It works really well. But where it drops down for me is when I'm trying to use it for professional work, under bark, inside logs, those sort of things, where you don't have direct line of sight. You need to be up closer if you're doing those things, where normally I'd like to stay right back, like 4 meters, 5 meters or so. But yeah, unfortunately, you will get dropouts here and there. And if the wind picks up, you will get dropouts. So having direct line of sight will always work for you. You can stay a fair way away. But if you're doing like what I'm doing, a little bit more professional work that I want to add to my documentary that I'm making on the Agile Endocrinus, looking at being under bark and things like that, you'll need to be up closer, at least 3 meters. App itself, you've got a fair bit of control over the camera and it's easy to use. So my final thoughts on the camera, so versatile, it's exactly what I needed. Being able to blog at a moment's notice, walking with it in the hand, it's so light, you can talk for about 5 minutes or more without your arm getting a bit weary, where I can't do that with the XF400. It's over a kilo. Yeah, this is a solution. But for my more professional work, with working with animals, it's doing the job for me. Thank you, Osmo. There you go, that's the Osmo in work and my thoughts on it. Awesome little camera to use. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel and get more of this amazing stuff, or better, click on my pretty little face just down here in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. If you'd like to go and have a look at my channel, look at all the other things I've been doing over the years, click on my icon right here at the end of this video, take you to my channel. It's over 100 videos to choose from. I talk about photographing and filming in a forest environment using a flash, birds in flight, go on walks like I've just done, and do little documentaries on them while I'm going. And when I'm going on holidays, I do the same. That's all I've got for you for today. And just remember, if you don't do, you don't get. So get out there and start photographing and filming wildlife. Now, most of us can get out walking with this coronavirus thing, but if you can't, just get out for a walk wherever you can near a forest. Sit, relax and enjoy. And I'll catch you on the next one.